So let's get started. We're a small group today. I want to start us off. Oh, and Rochelle, I think this is your first time being able to make it to one of these, so it's good to have you. I know you've been trying for a little bit, but it's good to see you. And I know you know Ray already, so that's awesome. So welcome. And yeah, so let's get it started. The way that we start these off is we're all Regenpreneurs. We're all working on something in that kind of form on an entrepreneurial level. And so we want to share something that's exciting, that's getting us motivated for the work that we're doing. I am going to share just some of the conversations that I've been having this week have been really exciting and enlightening. And one of them actually kind of brought up a tool that I want to start playing around with, because it's kind of blowing my mind to think of it in this way. But has anybody heard of Brain? What is it called? It's a mind mapping software. Now I don't have it up, so I can't even think of what it's called. But essentially, the brain. It's an app.thebrain.com. And this mind mapping software, I was talking with Jerry. Oh, I can't even think of Jerry's last name or pronounce it fully. But Jerry's been working on some really fun stuff. Jerry and Michaelski. Somebody run into Jerry yet? He has this open world network that he's been building out. I believe that's the network that he's been building. But he's been, for 20 years, has been mapping out his mind and connections that he has in a mind map. And the idea that we were kind of talking about is, what if you were to have other people do that alongside you, right? And connect one another's connections. Like, okay, I love regeneration, and I have entrepreneurial and this other part of my mind map, right? And then I connect my mind map with Jerry's, and Jerry has a connection with regeneration, circular economy, and all these things. But we can kind of see, kind of like a Wikipedia of sorts of how our minds are working. So it's all kind of open source. But thinking about this on a regenerative networking side of things, because we have been building out regeneration pollination, and trying to figure out a good way to do regenerative networking. And so if we could figure out a way where we can connect our mind maps together, and this is just kind of fun thinking about, to see what connections we have. So when I go and network with you, I can pull up your mind map and I can automatically see what connections we have with each other. Oh, you're in regenerative agriculture, you do tropical, you're also in Colombia. And I know this person, and this person that I can connect you with. And what if they had mind maps as well that we can connect with? And so maybe that's how the future of networking could be more regenerative. And so that's just something that was exciting, that kind of got brought up, and maybe something to explore with Jerry as he's been working on this project for a little bit. And we wanted to chat about something like that. So that was something exciting. It was kind of on a side tangent to what we're doing, because regeneration pollination is more a side project, but really do feel like there's a better way for us to connect on our regenerative projects. And that was a whole point of creating regeneration pollination and teaming up with others to start networking and building a network of regenerative peeps. So that was something that excited me today in my work, and I'm gonna just popcorn it over to Rochelle and have her go.
Go meaning just a quick couple of minutes on something new, or on what?
Yeah, something new, something exciting that's in your business, or something that's come up that excited.
Okay, I better say start from the start. So what I'm working on at the moment is a business that my husband and I have set up called Soil Restoration Farming, and we're looking to build a community of support for coaches that we could call regenerative coaches, but we don't choose to go with that term. But there's plenty of, it's an informal learning network. There's plenty of what we call community of practices out there and great things going on, but we see a huge gap where people are working on their own. And it's a little bit what you're trying to do too, Josh, is bring people together. And yeah, we're creating this community of support for coaches in this space to be able to come together and grow in that way. So our coaching community is basically people that consider the whole system, people that are passionate about working with farmers or producers to regenerate their minds, their land and businesses, supporting farmers to be the decision makers. That's critical in our approach, that it's more of a coaching approach, and by using observation of nature and positive feedback loops from trials. So that's essentially what we're doing. We've just completed a 6-week pilot program. And what I'm excited about right now is that I'm in the middle of speaking to everyone one-on-one, but more than half of the people are committing to the next paid membership part of the program, which is always the scary next step. So yeah, going well. And I'm in Northeast Victoria in Australia. So yeah, thanks.
Wonderful. And I forgot to mention, yeah, if when you're done, just popcorn it over to someone.
Oh.
But Rochelle, it's good to hear, because last time it was still kind of nebulous on what you were going for, and now you've kind of committed to something, and you've gone through your first little bit. So good to hear.
Yeah, a lot of work's been done since then. Thanks, Josh. You helped me realize I had no idea where I was at that time. All right, so my popcorn to Kerry. Is that how you say your name?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry, my dogs are drinking at the moment, but it's good to be here. Nice to see you all. I am excited because I have just finished a chapter for the book that I signed up to be in. And I guess it's kind of, I am about health and wellness in body and in the workplace. And I want to kind of redesign leadership to be more regenerative for the people and for the planet. And I just want everybody to see how things need to change and can change to be more sustainable, and how when you do that, it benefits everyone in the process. And so I have a lot of ideas. I am trying to put them together in ways that are meaningful, that are not just kind of like scattered and like all over the place. And finally, I have been looking at Linktree, and I was just like, I've been talking a lot on Clubhouse, meeting a lot of people on Clubhouse, and I'm clicking on these things that are, click on my Linktree, click on my Linktree, and I found it. And all of a sudden, there's all my links. This is what I'm doing here. This is what I'm doing there. This is what I'm doing there. And here's how you can see it all. And I'm like, la, there's my answer. And so now I have actually put together, and it's not just like a website. It's just like a little bio with your little links right there. And it's all like in one neat little place. And so now I have that link to everything in one spot. And it's well organized, and well, I mean, it's still in process, but it's really obvious exactly what I'm about. Everything I've got right there. Yeah, it's not like some fancy website. I have a website, but so that way I just feel like if all of us have all these projects going on, and we have different things that we can, different people will be attracted to with what we're doing. And it's just a neat place to house everything. And the place is called, I think it's called My Contact Bio or something like that. But it's free, and you can just dump everything there and gives everybody that one link to all your social media platforms, your websites, your, if you're a coach, your free session or whatever. But yeah, it was amazing. So that's what I'm really excited about this week. So I hope you all find that helpful. Let me see real quick, and I'll tell you for sure what it's called. Yeah, I will have to check. I'll put it in the chat. So anyway. All right, so I'm going to popcorn this to Ray.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Nice to see you here, Rochelle. I guess for myself, for people who don't know me, it's Ray from Farming Secrets, and we have an online community and an education center for everything to do with soil. What I'm excited about this week is that I am 11 conversations in with the podcast, and that is all on track to launch next week. And I had one of my all-time funnest time recording last night, which we did a bit of a experimental podcast interviewing our members on one of our virtual classroom calls. And can I just tell you, it was the most magical space that I've ever been in for a very long time. And it was all on Zoom, and the stories that people were sharing and the energy that was in that room last night was just beyond reach. I couldn't even sleep last night, but I was so full of energy. So that is what's keeping me excited. And, just hearing people's journeys and being able to chat to mentors from all around the world who really care about our soils and, on this journey to healing it. So the podcast is definitely filling up my cup, and I'm able to have conversations that are enlightening and then share them with the world. So I'm super excited to be sharing that. Hopefully by next Friday's conversation, I'll be sending you the link saying it's live. So yeah, that's what's on with me. And I've had really good conversations this week, and Russ was one of them. So Russ, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, sounds like an awesome meeting. Well done for the Zoom. Awesome. I've had a very kind of I had a great meeting with Ray, as you said. When was that? Was that Tuesday morning or Monday evening? Right? Yeah, it was Monday for you. It was Tuesday morning for you and Monday evening for me. That's why I was confused about the day, because we're on different days. You being in Australia, me being in Colombia. So yeah, I've had one of these weeks where I've had some pretty cool things, and then I've had just like kind of time not really being that motivated, kind of just feeling a bit, just I want to chill. And I think it's been one of those weeks as well. Sometimes you can just be push, and then you just kind of chill. So today, for example, I was like, what do I want to do today? And I really couldn't figure it out. And what happened, I jumped on Clubhouse and I got onto a room which I'd never been to before, and it was teaching English, right? It was an English conversation place. And I entered as a guest. I ended up running the room for 5 hours, because I think I was the only native English speaker, and it was mostly Southeast Asian. I spoke to more people in Tamil Nadu than any other state in India today, and I was even living in Tamil Nadu for a month, but today I reconnected. So it's fun, just to do things like that sometimes. To that my lifestyle, I'm my own boss, so I can set my own schedule, and if I want to go and plant trees, I can do that. If I want to connect with social entrepreneurs on LinkedIn, I can do that. And if I want to chat to some people in Tamil Nadu and teach them English, I can do that. So just celebrating freedom. So I think that's complete. We've all done it, yeah? And I'll pop it back to Josh then.
Awesome. Yeah, so some fun stuff. Looks like there's some collaboration going as well within the group. That's awesome. Good to hear that, Ray, you've gotten the, are you launching after, I thought you were launching after 10, so you have 11 now, so you have more than you expected.
Yeah, and I've got more booked for next week. My plan with podcasting is always launch with 6, and drip every week. So I've got 6 and 4 weeks already ready. So
perfect.
Yeah. About getting
awesome.
that depth on the first subscriber.
Yeah, that was very similar to our launch. I think we did 10 and we launched with 3, right? So we had 3 and then we had 7 weeks already planned. Lisa, it's good to have you join the room with us. Right now, we're just doing introductions. The way that we do introductions in the room is share something you're excited about that you're working on right now within your regenerative entrepreneurship. So if you're there, Lisa, you're ready to go. You're the last one.
Hey, I'm about to start a commute. Thanks for letting me hop on. This is my first one too. So what I'm working on in the regen space, I work in education, and so really holistic ed, which right now the trend is all about regeneration. You know, we've sort of shifted out of this concept of sustainability and into regeneration, which is great. It's a deeper dive on the nature that we are, and hopefully, making some mental shifts. So I work with very young kids all the way up through adulthood, with parents and schools. What I'm really enjoying is there is an increase in parents starting to form, learning pods and things like that, and deciding after this COVID year, hey, if we're going to do this thing, let's just do it our own way. And so that's been really fun, tapping into some of those communities. And I love working with parents who are becoming empowered about their kids' education. So that's a cool thing happening.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting to hear, Lisa. And I'm sure everybody's interested in learning more as we kind of get into each other's businesses and kind of chat about it. So the second part of our conversation today, well, actually, before we get into our main event, which we go through the challenges and obstacles that we have in our businesses and share those, let's just spend a moment here. If anybody has any fun events coming up, or workshops, or anything that's might be coming in your business or otherwise, please share so that we can attend them, encourage you, and be a part of it. Go ahead, Ray.
Yep, we have a webinar coming up next Thursday, probably more for the Australian audience. It's at 7 p.m. So it's you can RSVP or share it around, but it's all about farm safety. It's what I mentioned briefly last week about the What 3 Word app, and it's a global positioning kind of system that doesn't require longitude and latitude to kind of know your location. And so we've got the Asia Pacific representative from Singapore coming on and doing a webinar on how farmers can use this What 3 Word app to know their farm location and help emergency services locate them within a 3x3 meter grid on their farm. And so, farm safety is a massive concern everywhere around the world. And I'm excited to be partnering with them to bring this farm safety onto farmers around the world. So yeah, that's our event. It's a webinar, and if you register and can't make it, we will send replays as always.
Awesome. Thanks, Ray, for sharing. Of course, there's a regeneration pollination next Friday.
Isn't it tonight?
That was this morning, actually, for me, and it was your.
No, I've got one in my calendar. I was so excited to attend tonight. I've got regen pollination tonight at 7 p.m.
Okay, that's when it is.
I'm so excited to come.
Okay, yeah,
No,
that's
still on.
So that's still on. Sorry, that's
okay,
for
cool.
Australia, actually. So I'm mentioning the next one. That's the following week, because I'm thinking of the times. But yes, sorry, we do have people in Australia in the room, and Oceania. So if you're in Oceania, Asia, or Europe, you can join that one. And so that one's going to be at what time your time, Ray?
It's 7 p.m. my time, which is in my calendar at the moment. But it's just like finally a Friday night that I'm not busy, and I was like, I can make it tonight.
Yeah. So we do that time actually every month at the same time. So if you can make that one, you might want to do that one. We're going to try to do more of those, but we need more co-hosts for that one. So Ray, there's another opportunity. If you want to help build up that community for Oceania for the networking side of things, that might be something. I know Morag Gamble should be there. She's probably going to be co-hosting, but Brian is going to be the host, Brian Von Herzen.
Yep.
So, and I hung
Brian. Out with him, see co-working on Wednesday as well. That was really good.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. So I put the link to the calendar so you can see upcoming events for different time zones there. And then I'm just gonna, I'll put it in the chat. I don't actually have it up, but I've been getting some responses to my survey, and I'm just gonna put it in there as an ask for you guys. If you guys can fill that out. I know Ray has, I know a couple others have in this group. But if you haven't yet, really trying to get feedback on how we can make our incubator program stronger, and build out our education platform as well, things that you're wanting. So I'll put that in the chat so you can fill that out. Thank you.
Can you email it?
I can definitely email it. It's coming out on our next newsletter. So, and I believe put your email in, and I'll just make sure Russ, that you should be in our email list, but it'll also be coming out on our next newsletter. And I have your email. I just need to put it. I know you're on a phone, so it's hard to even type in anything into chat. Okay, so here we go. Our challenges and obstacles, things that we're working on in our business. This is the time to be a little vulnerable, and let's open it up to the room and share what we can mastermind and think tank today. All right, Carrie, right up front. Awesome.
Well, actually, I wanted to share, you said share fun upcoming things that we're doing. And I posted today on my LinkedIn page that I am hosting a clubhouse room. I'm going to try to host it on Fridays around 3 p.m. Eastern, but I posted kind of a poll just to see who would want to come in. And it's just for people who have questions about business, etc., and just want a little support, toss some ideas around. I love working with engagement and retention, finding good people, and of course, health and wellness. But so I'm just going to try to do some clubhouse rooms. And of course, that's going to support, my business and get other entrepreneurs and small businesses interested in what I do. And if they need a little bit of help, I'm happy to help. And so that's, if you click on the link that I sent and click on my LinkedIn page, that's my latest post. If you all are interested in that, just feel free to put in your input for when you're available. And so I will be doing that hopefully every week. So that's my share of fun things I'm doing. I don't have quite yet something I want to work on. So I'll kind of pass the mic to someone else.
Anybody else? Sorry, I didn't leave it open long enough for events and such. Okay, so should we go to challenges? Are we ready for that? Okay, cool. Who's got a challenge that we want to think tank here? Okay, Rochelle, go ahead.
It's just the whole premise of the way we're working. We want to create new types of thinking to be able to solve the problems that the current thinking got us into. So it's so much easier said than done. So say with our coaches, like the go-to is to want more knowledge, and everyone that's been attracted to our community so far has done every course under the sun, and they want to work with farmers, but then they go, wait a minute, what next level of knowledge do I need? When they just really need to get into it. So what am I trying to say? So people that it's not just confidence. Confidence comes when you start to maybe work out, when you actually start practicing things, I suppose. But the challenge is to welcome people into this community with the idea that it's going to happen. How am I trying to explain this? The success is going to be in the synergies of coming and talking and working together, and in the unknown. So I see Carrie is nodding her head because I'm trying to see if I'm explaining this right. So I have to include knowledge, because otherwise it's just like you're doing nothing. But having done a 6-week pilot program, the amount of growth and confidence from actually just getting out there and actually starting to do stuff is amazing. So I don't know, any hints on how to approach that, I suppose. I mean, everyone will go into an unpaid community without worry, but to go into a paid community, they think, oh, I need this, I need, some program that's going to be just handed to me. I need some expert that's going to give me more knowledge. And that's just going to keep us where we are. Any thoughts?
I think you got to start with your survey. People need to know, you need to know what they want, right? What questions they've got. And if every week you're just asking them the questions and you're answering what they want, what they need, then they will keep coming back, right? So, if you send out a questionnaire, and you answer all their questions every single week, whatever it may be, yeah, the time frame, then you're providing a service that they need. People buy what they want, of course, rather than what they need. So, understanding what their hot buttons are. So really understanding your marketing, really good marketers, they focus, they're passionate about their people, right? So really understand what your ideal client thinks, how they think, what they need, what they want. Really focus on that, and everything else is easy. Everything else will just fall into place. Once you really understand your client and what they need and want, their hot buttons, and you keep providing those things, you've got a long life business, and they will bring more people to you.
Yeah, that's cool. So I suppose at least always starting with people being able to actually say, what is it what's bothering you? Yeah. Sorry.
Rachel,
Yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah,
if you're familiar. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there. And
Go ahead, Lisa.
I don't know, I'm not sure if you're aware of the Farmers Footprint is a network. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because right now, one of the things that they're doing to both engage community members in a habit of coming back to the community, and this portion is free. It's a 21-day challenge called Pulse of the People. And the questions that you're answering if you're participating are actually doing what you're suggesting, Russ. They're helping understand what the pulse is of the people who are participating. So yeah, like, what are your pain points? What are you wanting to learn more about? What do you spend your time doing? And then some, even like day one was like a sensory activity of connecting with your food. So stimulating community engagement, but also using it as a kind of fun way to survey people in 5 minutes a day. So you're just kind of dipping in there for 5 minutes to answer the questions. So I thought that was a neat way to kind of feed 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak.
Yeah, I see. This is just ways of bringing people out, and that's probably exactly what's needed. Yeah, no, it's cool. Cool feedback. Thanks.
And Rochelle, could you, I'm sorry, my sound and stuff kind of fuzzes out every now and then. My internet is very fussy. Could you tell me one more time specifically what your end goal is and what we can help you with? Are you trying to get more engagement, or are you trying to figure out how to get? Okay.
Yep.
And it's for
just starting
a group.
Yep. So just starting the community now. So it's happening, but I know this is, I guess I'm already putting it out there. This is going to be the challenge, is engaging people into something that they don't know what they're going to get out of it, because if they knew what they wanted to get, they could get it. We would send anyone that needs knowledge to the likes of Farming Secrets with Ray to do courses. So those courses are all really important. But what we want to create is a community that it dovetails with the knowledge, but it is purely for developing the new types of thinking and the new and finding out, within themselves what the next step is. Because when they work out what the next step is, then they help the farmers to work out what the next step is. And if we're all confused about that, then I think, how can we help other people?
Okay, so you're trying to train coaches, really, is what you're saying.
Yet I won't be seeing myself as a trainer. I'm creating the ecology for this development, and the synergy of them coming together and working together in our 6-week pilot program proved to and I suppose the answers are there. I'm just analyzing that at the moment to be able to use that information to put out. But it's actually just the process of coming together, just like we are now, and actually going, wow, just like we're doing now. I have, somebody else has thoughts and ideas that you never would have thought of on your own. It comes, so
And did you say you have a Facebook group, or are you just staying off of social media, or how?
We're only just getting started. I haven't publicly really launched. It's Soil Restoration Farming is the group, or it's the company. It's our company, and then we'll have weekly, Zooms every Wednesday, and then that's the first part. And then as it grows, there'll be more groups, and so we'll just see what the need is. So all in the coaching space, but we have sort of our 3 areas of engagement will also be farmers. So there's farmers, educators, and coaches, but our area is to capacity build with the coaches.
Okay. And I was just wondering so you're still just trying to do your market research is what you're trying to do now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm stuck, but I'm finding that a lot of people are saying that Facebook and LinkedIn are really great if you can form a group, and everybody that you talk to, hey, join my group, we're doing this, hey, join my group, everybody gets it, and then you just put your questions out there. And you can do polls, and you can do all different kinds of things with Facebook groups. And you always just ask, what resonated with you? What did you love? What helped you? Always, always, always ask for feedback. Always.
Yeah.
That's kind of been the thing I've been told.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's essentially a paid think tank group, right? It is what it is, and there's a few models that are out there that you can kind of learn from, and obviously it's probably best to see when I look at direct competition, or not even direct competition, but someone that's doing the same thing, right? I like to look at them in a way that I can see what's lacking, right? And so if you can find some of these other think tanks, and so I've gone on and I've been a part of other think tanks, and I've seen how they've worked, and in a lot of ways the things that I don't quite get, and we're essentially not doing this as well, is the follow-up, right? So each time you have it's the follow-up communication that you're working with. So if you have a good pattern of here's what was said, here's what we talked about, here's the topics, and you can start to pull on those, like what are we focusing on, what challenges we have, and you're asking them after each event. You can potentially get a really good retention and discussion on those pieces, right? And it's something that we're not doing here in this think tank but it is something that I'm noticing in other think tank discussions that I've been in, is, I wanted to be able to follow up on this, and Ray brought this up on the last meeting that we had, is we've had conversations that people wanted to talk about funding, right? And it's kept on coming, but I haven't been keeping track of how many people have said that, right? And if I was, at the very end of each one, we have like an exit survey. Essentially, we should be having an exit survey for each one, each event that we have. And whoever fills it out, it could be no one, it could be someone, but every single time someone comes in, it can you're basically finding the mavens within your community that are willing to speak up and say what everybody else is just saying in their minds, right? And so I need to be practicing what I'm speaking right here. So we should be creating an exit survey, and each time, I'm sure not everybody's going to fill that out every single time, but we do these weekly. And if one person fills it out 1 week, and then we get another person a couple of weeks later, and you can start to recognize a pattern, and then you find an expert in that, or you find someone, some way to bring that into the conversation and have a good focus on those. It brings the conversation together, and it helps you to build towards something that the group is interested in and is needing at that moment in time, like the funding question that has come up several times. So that's something that may or may not help you, but it's also a placement of doing your market research kind of on the go, right, and figuring it out as you go.
Yeah, and I think it's about doing it more efficiently. So at the moment, all of these things are reflective of what I did with my 6-week pilot program, because I had a real end in mind. I needed a foundation for a course, but I mean, not course, community, but and then going to the next stage. I guess what you're saying is don't stop trying to get that feedback. And now at the moment, I'll spend 1 to 2 hours speaking to each individual person, and it's in depth, but that's actually not efficient going forward. So the exit survey is a cool idea. Thanks.
Hey, Rochelle. Some advice that we spoke about last week, which I think might be useful for yourself as well, is to build this stuff with people, not for them. So I think, I agree, like spending 2 hours on a phone, this is a very common dilemma that, say, coaches get, where like even personal trainers, they do one-on-one sessions, and there's only so much of their time that they can dedicate to that till they hit a ceiling. So it really needs to become building systems that's like one to many. How does the group benefit and still get a good outcome? So looking at, like, one to many models, and I would, one of the things that I do is always go and look outside of industry. Like, I don't know, I'm not for looking at competitors. I absolutely hate competitor analysis because it's actually demotivating from my personality point of view, just knowing myself. So seeing what other people do is a little bit disheartening. But what I do get excited about is like seeing what, say, someone's doing in the health industry or fitness coaching business, and go, wow, look what they're doing for like fitness. If we just change fitness to soil or regen, like that's a model that we can kind of aspire to. I'm a big believer of like, the grass isn't greener on the other side of the fence. And when we do competitor analysis, we always kind of tend to think that everyone else's grass is greener. The grass is greener where we regenerate the soil. So like, just regenerate your own backyard, and you are uniquely you, and you need to, I spoke this to Russ the other day, is like, people buy people, not products. And so he made a really good distinction, and I told him I was going to steal it, and here I am. He said, like, why do some people buy art? It's like just a blue color on a massive canvas. And I said, that's a perfect example of why people buy people. They're not buying the artwork, they're buying who did the artwork. And that's what gives people net value. So the art could look horrible to everyone else. And the whole saying is like, art is within the eye of the beholder. That's a massive lesson that we can learn. So just paint your own canvas and let that shine bright, and then let people buy you and what you're doing, and make the business uniquely you. Because when we do competitor analysis, we tend to copy what everyone else does. So imagine if everyone copied what McDonald's did, we'd have 600 different McDonald's, but we don't. We have KFC, we have Burger King, we have Wendy's. They're all fast food, and they all copy the same model, but they uniquely change the product and their servicing and their offer. So that's what came to my heart when you were speaking. And I can relate because, we're similar space, and same with Josh. We're all building communities in this space, and it is difficult. People say they're going to do everything and then they don't take any action, and they're very driven on day one and they're not on day 6. They buy a course and they do module 1 and they don't do module 2. So it can be very very difficult at times, but you're looking for the unicorns, I guess. It's a bit of a numbers game.
And I think as you find your feedback and you start getting more feedback from your program specifically, that kind of just-in-time marketing, you'll market research, I should say, just-in-time market research, you'll start to realize what unique properties and how you can communicate those the unique ways that you're doing things. Because a lot of times we don't know, we can articulate in the way that we perceive it, right? And we try to be really concise and say the right words, but really the way that we want to say it is we want to speak their language, right? We want to speak their language when we're speaking to them. And the only way we get to know that is when they start telling us what they're trying to accomplish and how they're trying to accomplish it, and the way that you're helping them to do that in that process, right? And so when they say a certain keyword, you want to be able to take that and say, oh, this is it. This is what I do, essentially. And then you get that over time. You figure out the pattern of this is what people are saying that I do. But you don't necessarily get that understanding if you're not documenting it, if you're not trying to really figure that out for yourself. And kind of like what Russ was saying is just really, truly try to understand their language, how they speak things, understand them almost better than they understand themselves. And then you were mentioning like they don't really know what transformation they're looking for. Like they'll actually tell you the transformation, but they don't. It's kind of like how we're speaking here. We don't really know how to articulate what we're doing to them. But then they'll say what the exact words that they want, but they don't actually know that they just said that, right? But when you say it back to them, like, yeah, that's what I want. And I've had that so many times where I've talked to someone and I've recorded their words, and then I'm like going through it, and then I say that the following week, and that's exactly what they say. Oh, that's exactly what I want. But you just said that, right? And if you get that enough, you'll start to recognize there's a pattern that people are speaking in buckets. Like they're all kind of talking in this bucket or this bucket or this bucket. And if you can kind of pull from the right buckets, you can actually market to and bring in those same type of people that are all speaking a very similar language. You're speaking Spanish to this group. You're speaking this. You're trying to speak their language, what they truly are building. And then once they understand that you're speaking their language, they're going to understand you, and they're going to understand what you're actually creating.
And I have one more thing that I might add. If you have kind of a pool of people to choose from, always start with your favorites. Always start with your favorites, because you want more people like that in your pond.
Yeah. And that's been the 6 weeks that we've had. It's been absolutely magical, just hanging out with people I want to hang out with. And now I'm just saying to them, awesome. Well, who's your next? That word of mouth thing. So no, actually something that one of the significant things, and I might have already said it, but like that the feedback has come that, see, my husband gives me, he's like, you're doing summaries of summaries of summaries, trying to get to and like, you're all going, that's what you need to do. And so it's like, yeah, cool. Like, I'm getting somewhere. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, Rochelle, is there anything else that you want to add to this challenge, or do you feel complete on this?
Yeah, I really feel that, that's been so helpful. I hope I haven't taken too much of the precious time, but no, it's funny. I sat down to do this work and I went 9 o'clock Friday. It just happened to the minute that I signed in. So I really appreciate it's going to help my day. Thanks.
Awesome. Perfect. Just in time learning right there. Okay, so we have another opening here. Who has a challenge that we can mastermind and think tank today? Oh, and Corey, you came in a little later. So right now we can also do an opening of sharing something that you're excited about within your business, and just kind of introduce yourself to those that don't know you yet.
Okay, hi. My name is Corey, and I'm from Minnesota, USA, but I currently live. I bought.
Is it just me, or is anybody else having a hard time hearing Corey? Okay.
I don't hear him either. He's gone. Colombian internet.
How about now?
Must be raining.
Oh, there, it came through again. Okay.
Corey, can you turn your video off? That always helps me.
Okay. That help?
Yep, we can hear you.
Ready to hear me now? Okay. Hi, my name is Corey, and I am from Minnesota, USA, but I currently live in Bogota, Colombia. My wife and I bought a piece of land a few years ago, and we've been growing trees since then, and our house is going to be ready soon. We're building a house, we're going to rent it out, and we're going to basically give the food away to people who rent the house, and then to people who can't afford to rent the house. We're going to give it away free. That's our plan. And we're paying some guys to build the house right now, and it's almost finished. So once that's finished, that's when I plan to start releasing like videos, talking about all the aspects in 4 years.
You're breaking up again, Corey, but we heard a good chunk of
Going
it.
to
There we go. Coming back.
prepare to install a biogas digester tomorrow. Looks like my
Cool. That is a good little system to put on the property for sure. I think all of us could use that. If we had more and more of those on a personal basis, it'd be really cool to see, and create our own biogases. Oh no, we lost him. His internet connection dropped it. Oh, here he comes again. Okay, so let's open it back up to our challenge. Corey, hopefully your internet connection comes back so you can join us again in the conversation. But yeah, let's, who's got another challenge? Raise your hand or unmute yourself and speak up.
Okay, I have one. This is Lisa.
Awesome. Go ahead, Lisa.
Is this sound clear? Okay, it's probably a little cliche, but just started the business about 1.5 years ago. I'm so busy working in my business with a client who has taken up so much of my time and energy, which once felt really awesome. And this is not sustainable because I would love to take on more clients. And this is a mindset thing because I went from thinking like an employee to now learning how to think like an entrepreneur. And so I can recognize what it is. And I'm in the process of, now that I'm conscious and aware of it, working to shift that. But I would love any suggestions or any helpful tips that anyone may have if they've had any similar struggles.
So there's a common word for this, Lisa, especially in coaching and mentoring and any type of education. It's called scope creep. And it's so common. I had this in my branding agency to no end, with clients that are extremely needy. And some clients are you can't necessarily please them. They'll always have something else for you. So there's maybe something there, but just in general, the way that I've found to alleviate scope creep is to be really clear on your deliverables, and be clear on the amount of time that you're working on these projects. If you're upfront on what it takes to do the work and your communication is really good, you'll start to recognize that they'll see the work that you're doing, and if they're asking for more and more, they'll either know that they're going to be charged for the extras and add-ons, or they're going to recognize that the value that you're putting into it, and they're going to pay you more for the next round of the project. And so you can ask for more for another round. But to start off in the very beginning, it's all about you being really clear on what the deliverables are. And in the beginning, when you're starting a business and you're trying to figure out what's going on, that's probably one of the hardest things to do. So it's almost like baked in that you're going to have a little bit of scope creep. But as long as you are tracking your hours, tracking how long it's taking you for things, and you're communicating that effectively, as you build out your business model, you're going to be able to see what your hourly rate is, what you want your hourly rate to be, and what it takes you to do certain processes as well. So you know what to charge on the next client, or you know what to charge them the next time they ask you to do another project or another piece of work with you. Anybody else have anything to add to that?
Lisa, I'm just curious to what you do with this client. What's your services with and relationship with this client?
Yeah, so initially it was to help her start a school, which she did right before COVID. And then my commitment increased because of the additional challenges of COVID. And, now trying to kind of back out of that to create more time and space to allow for other clients is tricky. And definitely it has been, if at the end of the day, it's been a costly education about what not to do and establish firm boundaries, no matter if the world pandemic comes. If that's what I get out of it, it might be worth it. But I just, would very much like to shift out of it now.
Yeah, my thing is that the fact that there's a word called scope creep is because, it's a common thing and everyone experiences it. And I can assure you it's probably cheaper than doing an MBA. So learning it firsthand is a school of life. And, whatever the price is that you've had to invest in this, it's going to be a lesson well learned. And also you get to teach other people. So what a great, learning. My experience with scope creep is that what you allow is what you promote. So if you allow constant access to your time, if you're allowing emails to be replied really quickly, if you're answering the phone really quickly, you're promoting that behavior. Think of this business or this client as a child. If you let the child climb up on the furniture and then do all this weird stuff and eat chocolate, before bed, it's very hard to rein that back. So it's a challenge, and it's a good challenge. But I would work with this client and start. A good approach to this is to get the client to acknowledge how great it's been working with you, and just have a conversation and say, I've really enjoyed working on this project. We've achieved all this stuff. Have you enjoyed working with us? And let it be yes, no. Go, awesome. Well, I would really love to expand my reach so other people like yourself can have access to me. So in order for me to grow my business and keep our relationship going, so I survive as a business and I can help other people, we're going to have to move into version 2 of our agreement. And this is the way we're going to step forward. Now, you either jump on board and do it, or unfortunately, we're going to have to part ways. And so this is a mediation type of exercise. And the reason why I know this framework works is because, like Josh said, from an agency world, scope creep is really big thing. And sometimes you might have to just expectation manage this client and take 3 days to reply, and set your boundaries and just break that pattern. And it's a good challenge to have. It's exciting in a way when you unsolve this. And don't be afraid to just set your agenda out, like, and say, look, this is what's happening, because you will, like, they won't take it and judge you as much as what you probably think they will in your mind. And go explore scope creep. There's heaps of information online about managing scope creep, and it may get to a certain point where you have to fire your client because it's in the best interest of you and the growth of your business. And that's the number one important part when being an entrepreneur. So yeah, hopefully that helps. And yeah.
Yeah, it does. Thanks. Thank you, Ray. And Josh too, thank you.
You are so welcome. It's something that hasn't come up actually in our conversation, so I'm glad you brought it up and brought it to the table today. You know, there is actually what I would do is I would write out your guidelines right now. What you know, like, I don't talk on weekends. The do's and don'ts and kind of etiquette that you would hope for your clients to follow. And, I would just call them like safety guidelines, and say, here, I'm setting up some safety guidelines so I can have the proper boundaries for my business, and I can take on the right amount of clients, and I can serve the right amount of people, so that my business is sustainable. And here are my new safety guidelines, and have them sign it. You sign it and they sign it, right? And then any new client that you have, do that as well, right? So you'll set up in your first initial onboarding conversation. You'll say, yeah, these are the times that we can talk. This is what's is kind of allowed in the agreement with us working together. I have these office hours, and set those out. And then I'm going to have you sign this, and I'll sign it as well. And we'll try to keep to this, right? If there's anything that falls on outside of this, maybe you have an extra out of office hours rate or some other things, and you can maybe allow for, for us, for a branding agency, we had revisions. And if you had more than a certain amount of revisions, you had to pay for those revisions, right? And so we would go through a revision process, but you were only allowed two revisions. And so that might be something that you figure out if you have a design portion of it. But just be thinking of those guidelines, and make sure they sign off on it too, because then they know, and they've read it. They've said that they've read it, and you can just point it out when they do break it. You can just say, oh, do you remember this? And it's on your safety guidelines. Check this point, this piece in the safety guidelines. I'm trying to keep this in a way that we can work together comfortably.
I like the idea of safety guidelines, and even maybe, because I work with, wellness practices, even calling it that. These are our wellness guidelines.
Yeah.
Think
You can
about
definitely do that.
balance. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
And also use us as a ammo, sometimes third-party credibility. It's like, I'm in a think tank, it's a coaching program, and they're recommending that I need to do this in my business. So it's not me, it's them. If you feel like there's a personal relationship. So use us as your shield and reason of why you're putting your business in a bit more of a systematic and process-driven, because you're looking to scale the business. And that's proactive. Like, no one can argue with you on that. It's like, you want to grow the business, kudos to you. So use us.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd also like to add, Lisa, if you are thinking about how to revise your schedule and you're not really sure where those boundaries should fall, something you can do is you can look at everything that you have on your plate and then kind of assign everything a priority in terms of your future goals. And then you can also make a list of just use your gut as to what is really irritating you. Because if something's really irritating you, obviously you're going to need to work on that. But to figure out how much time is really appropriate, just look at everything else you've got going on. And you can also kind of discuss this with the client just to make sure that it's not going to be something that, like if the client has one particular place where they need to bend, if you really need that client, that might be acceptable for a while. And that might be somewhere where you're willing to bend, but just kind of really look at your priorities in terms of all the areas of your life and your goals. And that will give you a better idea of how to set those boundaries.
Yeah, something came to mind there. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Rochelle, or Lisa, since you're driving, Rochelle has a trust manifesto, what she calls it. I like the wording there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I should give credit to where that comes from. I'm part of another community called Syntropic World. So about building syntropic enterprises, which could be similar. You could compare with this, but it's a completely different flavor. And probably what stopped me from coming to these days. And now I'm going, okay, this is different. This is good. There's so many communities you can be part of, but syntropic enterprises are basically, it's on the Buckminster Fuller sort of theories about building new models of business that make old models obsolete rather than fighting the system. So and so they have like templates and things like that, but you have to do the 8-week course to be able to sort of go into that. But yeah, it's all based on universal laws and things. So it's a nice connection actually with this community. Yeah, there's always more.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a look. Could you place that in the chat?
Yeah.
Lisa, are you feeling complete in this area, or do you have any other pieces that you want to cover in the challenge that you're working through?
Yeah, no, I feel full. I've got some homework there. Thanks.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad you were able to bring that up today. Again, like I said, it's something that hasn't been brought up yet. So definitely something for those that listen to this later on. Maybe we can even put that in a piece later and share it as a snippet on YouTube if I ever get to those type of snippets. But that's something that I've been trying to do, is actually, because we have little nuggets here and there that are really great for others to learn from our learnings that we could share, and this would be a good one for that. Okay, we have about 20 minutes of time left. We got time for one more small challenge that we could work through together. And then we'll wrap up by sharing what we've taken away from this week. So anybody else have a smaller one that we could do in about 10 minutes or so? I hate putting the constraint on these ones because it's so juicy and so good.
Yeah, I think I have a short one.
Okay.
I hesitated because I wanted to give someone else a chance, and I don't know if this is, the best problem for this group to address, but I'm planning to put vetiver grass in my swimming pool as a filter, part of a filtration process. And I'm wondering if anybody has any experience with using that grass or any plants as a water filter for like a swimming pool.
There's someone I would want you to talk to who hasn't been to one of these for a little bit. Nabil. Nabil's the vetiver system dude. I will look his email up and then just mention me when you email him. And he's a total vetiver net, so he would probably know or have known someone that does it. But Russ, I'm sure, also has something.
I've got vetiver. Yeah. So vetiver is like an awesome plant in many respects. it has roots that can go down to like 7 meters or something like that. Yeah, so it's really good at actually stabilizing steep slopes. You know, when they do like when they cut a new road and they got a steep embankment, then they can secure that by planting vetiver. Vetiver is also really good at absorbing nutrients, so it's really good for using for cleaning up water, you know, that's come from a black water treatment or grey water treatment. And I think like if you got it down a slope, if you got like 3 or 4 lines, maybe 15 centimeters apart, the top 3 grow really well, and the bottom one, you know, doesn't grow as well, because basically all the nutrients that come out in the first 3 lines. It's really good at absorbing. My neighbor, he has vetiver growing on the side of a pond, and it works really well. I don't know that it grows in a pond. I don't think it's an aquatic plant. That would be my unsure. I'm not sure that it would grow directly in a pond or a swimming pool, right? But definitely on the side, it does. I can for sure say that because I've seen it with my own eyes. I grow it on slopes where it doesn't get much water at all, and it also grows well. But it's an amazing plant. So the only question I've got is, you know, would it grow directly into your pool? I don't think so, but I may be wrong. But definitely on the side as a kind of a leach field, it definitely would work. So hope that helps, Corey.
Okay, thanks.
You might also want to look into some floating islands. I'm not sure if you have some or have looked into it. There's a company specifically called Floating Islands, and then there's regional companies that kind of distribute for floating islands, but you can grow stuff on the floating islands, and it will take stuff out, like the root system will kind of linger in but you can grow some different types of plants that you normally wouldn't be able to straight on the ponds, right? That might be
Yeah, that's kind of the idea that I'm copying from a video actually I saw on YouTube. It's kind of a floating island idea where the roots absorb nutrients out of the water to prevent algae growth. Yeah, I even thought I could maybe start avocado seeds there.
Yeah, so maybe someone has tried vetiver or may be able to recommend some other plants. I can also give you another contact who's a floating island guy.
Okay. Avocados, you know, maybe you know, like a hydroponic system, right? So maybe vetiver would work in that sense, you know, with a floating island. It's possible. I can't say for sure either way. Avocados, you could maybe get them to start seeding that way. You definitely couldn't plant them that way. In fact, when we plant avocados, we do them on avovolcanoes, right? So raised mounds, because they don't like having wet feet. So, you know, basically in the rainy season, you get like high saturation on the soil, they start to rot. So by putting them on a little mound, or an avovolcano, as Jeff Lawson calls it, that's where I got the information from. Then they don't get wet feet, and they survive much better in the wet, humid tropics like here.
All right. Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that was a good one. I always love how you have planting questions for us, Corey. And we don't necessarily get those all the time. So that's awesome. And I say all the time, last time was your first time. But keep them coming. So we have our last little, we have 14 minutes left. That one went a little quicker than I thought it was. Do you feel complete on that one? Do you want to explore that any further, Corey?
I feel complete. Thanks. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, Laddie is a good guy to talk to. I know someone else. I'm trying to think of his name. He's the guy that actually owns. He's not just the distributor. He's the founder of Floating Islands, and they do huge restoration projects. But then they also sell to individuals as well, and so might be something. If I can remember his name and try to find his contact information, I'll get that to you as well. Okay, so to round us off today, we for the end of each meeting, we share something that we've taken away from the meeting, something that we're gonna use in our week, and or look to implement in our business. All right, so I'm going to start us off, and then we're going to popcorn in typical fashion. Let's see. I'm trying to think of the big pieces that I've kind of taken away. A big one for me is boundaries. I have a hard time with boundaries, even still, of just placing boundaries. I probably just need to be checked on that every so often. And so right now, I'm noticing that my boundaries are a little, I've set them too broad. And so I need to figure out some way to just reel them in a little bit. So that's the big thing that I took away from today. And I'm going to pass it over to, to Lisa.
Yeah, that was the boundary thing. So safety rules, and write down the things that are a drag for me. I think about it, but to write it down. Yeah, and then I think I'm going to take another look at the contract, and I like the idea about moving into a phase 2 and approaching the conversation that way. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Let's see. Participants. How about Rachel?
Well, I'm just trying to zero it down to 1 or 2. I've got lots today. So a quick, easy one was the exit survey. How cool, instead of talking for an hour afterwards, which I've been doing even 2 hours, to people, just having that exit survey allows everyone to put a comment in. So I'll say that as one of the good takeaways. I will pass to Corey.
I am going to take away that I need to be on time next time, because I can see I missed some good stuff. And so this is my second time here. The first meeting was great. This one was great, and I can. It's kind of cementing the fact in my head that I got to start attending these more regularly, or I got to continue attending. Thanks. I'll pass to Russ.
Corey, you're in Colombia. You know everything's fashionably late, right? Oh, my cat trying to steal my food. So yeah, but annoying cats. Yes, I'd never heard of this scope creep phenomenon before, so I definitely learned something new today. That was, it having a name, and it hasn't happened to me. I've not been in that situation. Truthfully, I think with me, if somebody started to annoy me, I would just tell them. I'm a bit more blunt like that. So I would probably cull them before they started to really piss me off. But that's just me. But it's fun. It's fun that it has a name, and that it's a phenomenon that people struggle with, and maybe in the future it's going to come to me. Now I'm doing sort of a lot more business coaching and that kind of thing as well. So you're going to get needy people and I've got this expectation of this woman coming to me. She's been saying she's coming as soon as the British what do you call it, what's it called, they let you out of the country, so it's been closed, right, the borders. She said, I'm coming, and somebody said, no, this woman, she's a pain in the ass. She's just like she's a vampire, an energy vampire. So I'm like, well, that's fine. She come here, the place is hard enough that it'll kick you out. So I'm not too worried, but maybe I'll get a what's it called, a moving scope, or I don't know. I think the scope, I think of shooting people. So, you know, if they annoy you that much, you've got to shoot them and tell them to go away. But yeah, that's what I took from it today. I'll pass on to Ray so I can see him.
Awesome, thanks, mate. Scope comes from the scope of works kind of agreement that a lot of builders and web designers have. So when you put a scope document together and something's in scope or out of scope. So I shared a link in the chat, which is something that someone sent to me, and Josh, a little bit for you. It's a screenshot of an email. You know, being a yes person or a pleaser sometimes isn't actually doing the justice, because you're preventing that person from finding the mentor, the expert who can actually help them, rather than you trying to be the superhero. So respectively declining and saying no is actually in the best interest for you and that person. And so we sometimes feel like saying yes to a crisis that a client is happening as us helping them, but in fact, we're actually preventing them from finding the superhero that was meant to help them. So when he said, like, this guy shared me this image, because him and I always say that we're like yes men or yes people, and it's hard to say no sometimes. And we like to rise to the occasion and go, oh, I've never had that problem before. Let's help a client solve this, or let's help someone solve this. But saying yes to them is saying no to someone else. So I just thought I'd share that screenshot. It was very timely to the conversation, and a different way of framing it to go, you think you're trying to help them, but really you've put in a barrier in front of them and preventing them from finding the help they actually need. So a nice way of reframing that, I guess. But my key takeaways is just how great it is to hang out around like-minded people. I think, you know, the synergies that happen in these rooms, and Josh, what has it been, like over a year now they've been creating these and hanging out, and you know, I've probably missed a couple of them, but I just wish these were on a Monday to fire me up for the week and not on a Friday, you know. But I definitely get pumped up, and I like the fact that these are my 9 a.m. So it sets me up for a really good Friday. So kudos for the consistency of these, Josh, and everyone kind of showing up and participating. I will go to Carrie.
Awesome. Well, yeah, as always, so much good info. I think that probably the thing that I'm going to use is going to be the memorandum of understanding. I think that, you know, for a coach, that sounds really, it just sounds very straightforward. And this is the way we're going to try to do things, and let's try to stick by this. And, you know, I think that that's going to be something that's going to be helpful for me, because I am going to be doing business coaching, and I know business owners can have needs that they need right now. Stuff comes up, it happens, and it can be kind of demanding. So I think that's going to be very helpful for me to be able to have that in place. I have been thinking about something like this for some time, but I just have never really needed it to date. Thank goodness I've had like great clients, but I do think that that's going to be a really important piece that I need to add. So thank you.
Awesome.
I think we're back to Josh, right?
Did everybody
Lisa,
go?
maybe?
Rochelle, did you went, right? Okay. Yeah, everybody went. Awesome. So we do have a little bit of time, and when I do have a little bit of time at the end, I want to share about the MOCR platform and submitting a MOCR. And so what that means, it's an acronym. It stands for Mission Objective Key Result. And it's kind of an application form to dive a little bit deeper into this community and really start to take be held accountable to this group. And so your mission, objective, and key results will be put into a document, and I'm going to share that document real quick. And you'll submit that document to the group and to me, and we'll schedule a time where we can present your mission, objective, and key results for a 3-month period. So you're gonna pick a period of time, a quarter, or it doesn't have to be 3 months. Usually, if we're starting in the middle of a quarter, it could be 2 months, it could be a month, it could be a couple weeks for at the end of a quarter, or you could just wait that couple weeks for the fresh new quarter and present and prepare your MOCR. But it's essentially one big goal that you're working on, and then you're going to outline it in this MOCR platform, and then you're going to present it to the group, and we're just going to focus on you the entire session. And so we'll schedule a time to do that, and it's really fun. And then we're going to hold you accountable to the work that you're doing. We're going to ask you how you're doing. We're gonna hopefully get some numbers from you, because you're going to set some metrics, and we're going to hear from you in that regard. So if that's something you want to do, great. We can talk more about it offline. I'll put my hold on a sec, my calendar in the chat. So you can schedule a time and we can talk more about setting a time to do that. And then I will also share the MOCR document that you can look at and fill out so that we can schedule that time as well. Share. But anybody have any questions in regards to doing that, or the hand raised if anybody wants to do that at some point? Michelle's like, maybe.
I read that body
that
language.
sounds like some.
How did you read that? It's like,
Oh, yeah.
soon.
Body language is amazing.
You know, and that's why I like Zoom. I do like Clubhouse, but I like Zoom for the fact that there's some more communication going on there besides just a voice.
I'll definitely do it. I'll sign up for the hot seat.
Sorry, I was muted there. But Lisa, that's something that you would be interested in?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I know you're on the phone and it's hard to save links and those types of things, but I believe I have your information on LinkedIn or somewhere. You're a part of GRC, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll message you on GRC and we can figure out a time to chat. I'll give you my calendar link.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. It was wonderful. We had a wonderful meeting. I'm glad to have chatted with you wonderful Regenpreneurs, and keep on working. So I will see you next week.
Thank you. Awesome. Good to see you all.
Thanks, everybody.
everybody.
Nice
Have a
to
good
meet
one.
everyone.
Thank y'all.
Bye.